Hi, this is Bob from Hobby Concepts, and today I am going to build this beautiful stretched globe liner. I know it's been a while since my last video because I've been working on this, and I've actually got 3 videos to do. In this video, it's how to build the truck, how to install a stretched frame, how to install decking, and it's got a full interior including a miniature Winston in there. Really awesome truck. I think you're going to really like it. So if you ever thought about stretching a king hauler or a globe liner or the other trucks, this will show you how to do that, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So sorry it's been so long, but I hope this video is worth it. I'm really happy with how this truck turned out. Let's get started. Alright, on this new custom build then, we're going to start with a globe liner. And yeah, I know I've built a globe liner on YouTube before, but not like this one. So what's going to be different about this? Well, we're going to do a lot of custom things. The first thing is we're going to use a grand hauler frame, which is a lot longer than the globe liner frame. I'll probably paint it and do some other custom things to the frame. We're going to put a set of grand hauler rear fenders on it, and a grand hauler rear bumper with some custom lighting effects in it, and some grand hauler exhaust stacks. So that'll be kind of fun to show how that mounts on a grand hauler frame. For the electronics, I'm going to use the Beier SFR-1, which will be a complete install video. I know I've done some videos on these out of a truck, but this will be putting it in a truck, getting all the little details hooked up, all kinds of custom sounds, all kind of custom light effects, so that'll be fun. I've got some of this RC 4-wheel drive aluminum diamond plate. That'll figure in here too, and I've got a lot of other parts, aluminum wheels, and probably driver and interior, and all kinds of little goodies as we get along. So I'm probably not going to go step by step through the truck itself, but I'll just show kind of some of the details that are different than normal. Anyway, let's dive into it. Well, I told you that I would be adding things along the way, so ball bearing kit, of course, 55 turn motor, of course, these really cool 7-hole aluminum wheels. I know you won't be able to see them too good here now, but we'll get closer looks at them as I build the truck up. I'll keep digging through the option bin as I go. So as I dive into this globe liner, I've got a king hauler frame rail, or not, I'm sorry, a grand hauler frame rail here, and the original globe liner rail. This grand hauler rail is 7 1/4 inches longer. The main difference in the rails will be the mounting point for the plate that holds the cab on. And you can see here that the rail for the globe liner has got some extra holes in it that aren't in the grand hauler rail. So what I've done is I've marked them. They're going to be really hard to see. It's these 3 holes, which line up with these 3 mounting bosses. So I need to drill and tap those holes into the top of this globe liner frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark them with a square. It's that one right there. And then I will drill and tap them, and I'll show that process. What I've done is I scratched a mark with my X-Acto knife, aligning with the holes in the globe liner frame, and then I took a center punch and center punched them. Now what I'm going to do is drill and tap them, and I've got a drill tap combination here. So we're going to go with the 3mm. And this has a drill bit, and then it's threaded for a tap. So, with any luck, I should be able to drill this. Okay, and then I'll just grab a 3mm screw here just to test it. Voila, just like that. So I'll drill these and I'll do the other side, and then I'll have my frame rails ready to go. I wanted to get these drilled now because I want to paint them. I'm painting a lot of the chassis parts with the final color, and I want to paint the frame rails, but I got to drill these holes first. While I was getting the frames ready, I also drilled 5 1/8" holes in the bottom of each frame so I can put some underglow lighting in. So now I'm going to wipe these down with alcohol, and then I'm going to paint them. While I'm waiting for paint on the frame to dry, I'm actually going to paint this light blue color. And the kit comes with these pink metal shocks, but I'm going to replace them with the polished aluminum shocks out of a grand hauler. So we're going to build that. I'm building a bunch of sub-assemblies. You can see I've just kind of putting things together again while waiting for paint to dry on that frame, because I can't put it together till it's painted. So here's the frame all painted and assembled. Remember, this is just a grand hauler frame with the holes for the globe liner mounting plate drilled in it, and you can see that I glued in these 3mm LEDs in the holes I drilled in the bottom of the frame, and those will be for the glow lighting. I wanted to get that done before I mounted the transmission, because the wires have to run past the transmission up through the floor. So I'm going to go ahead and solder all the blacks and blues together and run a couple wires up. And then while I'm at it, I'll probably wire up the rear bumper and run the wiring for that before I do things like mount the plate, mount the transmission. Makes it a little easier to run the wiring. Well, like I said, while I'm doing this wiring, I'm going to wire up the back bumper. And this is a grand hauler back bumper. So what I'm going to do is put amber, red, red, amber, 3 backup lights, amber, red, red, amber. The outside ones will be turn signals, the inside ones will be marker lights, and these will be taillight brake lights. So I've got the bulbs here that I need. I'm also going to use all clear lenses. They come with either red or clear, but since the bulbs are colored, I think the clear lenses will look nice. Now, I'm going to go into more detail on the wiring in this truck in a separate video. Since I'm using the SFR-1, I'm going to do a complete installation video. So if you want to see how I'm going to put all this wiring in, you can check out that video, which I'll probably post after the build video. And it'll have a lot of the wiring details. For example, I already did the dashboard and have dashboard lighting, interior lights, and a bunch of other lights. So check that one out for the lighting details. But I am going to get this bumper put together and installed, get this wiring done, so I can get the transmission, the coupler plate, and some other things on. One of the things I'm looking to do with this truck is completely deck over this rear frame. And because of that, I also want to put a remote coupler release in. But I don't want to punch a hole up through the decking for the servo arm to come through. So I did a little creative bending here and made this piece, which will snap on, and then I drilled a hole through this cross member. So this will fit like this, and that gives me a nice release arm. And then I'm going to figure out how to mount a small servo. I'll probably use a micro servo. You don't need much power to pull this thing open. Make a little mount here and hook this up so it is completely underneath the deck. Well, I've got this this link bent, and it's going to move right down in here to open the coupler. And so I just made a little plate out of plastic, drilled a couple holes here in the bottom, which I'm going to mount this plate here and mount the servo on the plate. And then I'm going to use this little piece of aircraft hardware, which will mount through the servo, and this rod will slide through here. The nut here will tighten on the rod, and then they give you a little clip to hold it on the back of the servo. So I'm going to go ahead and put that all together. The plate, the servo, the clip, and get that all mounted in, and that should work pretty good to open my coupler. There's my servo all mounted, and it operates the coupler just fine. I'm going to need to set the end points carefully because there's more travel than I need even with that short arm. I don't know if you can see in here, but you can see the coupler go. That's going to work real good. So now I can mount the fenders, and I'm going to make some aluminum decking for the back end, and that pretty much will finish up the back here. On the paint for this, the overall color is going to be this blue, but I'm going to have a white stripe and then a gunmetal stripe. So what I've done here is I've painted the fender white. Then I'm going to mask off the white stripe, paint the gunmetal. Then I'll mask off the gunmetal stripe and then paint the blue. So some people would paint the blue and then paint the white stripe on top of it. I'm basically just doing the reverse of that. So I'm going to mask these off, hit them with some gunmetal, and mask them off again. Well, I laid on some gunmetal paint, so now what I'm going to do, I've got this Tamiya tape in both 5 and 10 millimeters, so I'm going to do a 10 millimeter stripe right next to the 5 millimeter stripe, and the tape is still on there. So what I'm going to do is just lay this on right next to it, and it's a little tricky. It'll take me a few minutes. But I'm just going to put this stripe right next to the 5 millimeter stripe. So there's my tape ready to go. I pressed the edges down. I also sealed the split between the two with another piece of tape. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually re-primer this and then paint the blue. So we'll get that done and peel off the tape and see how it looks. Well, so this is the scary part, or the fun part, depending on how good your masking tape is. We'll start by peeling off that center piece. Now we've got the 10 millimeter strip that covered the I always pull the tape back against itself nice and slow. I don't want to peel off any paint. Fortunately, Tamiya masking tape does a beautiful job. That looks good. And then we've got the 5 millimeter tape covering the white. Very nice. Yeah, that looks good. I like those colors together. Okay, well, we'll peel off the other one and put on several coats of clear. I continue to work away on this, and I'm kind of prepping the body to get ready to paint it. A couple things I've done. One is I drilled out the alignment pins on the visor because I'm going to use bolts to hold it on. I almost always do that. I'll probably strip this and paint it. And then I want to use the Grand Hauler exhausts. So the Grand Hauler exhausts have that slide-on tube. They look really good on this truck. But what I had to do was drill some additional mounting holes up here and here to get this in the right place, and then grind off the bottom of this on my bench sander so that it would line up with the body. So it'll go something like that. So I've got those ready, and Been trying to decide. I think I'll go ahead and fill those extra holes. Normally I would just leave them and throw a bolt in them, but since I'm doing the prep work, I may as well do that. So I'll get that done, and then I'll spray a couple coats of primer on this and get it ready for paint. One of the other things about this this body, the globe liner and the king hauler and grand hauler, all have these molded in pockets, and those are for an old obsolete system that Tamiya used to make, where you had on-off switches for the lights that would mount up here. Normally I just paint over those and don't worry about them, but on this truck, since I'm using the SFR-1, I have a lot of lighting available, so I'm going to take this piece of plastic and mount it over the top of this. I'm going to drill these out for some work lights that face back. So we'll put some work lights up here. I filled in behind these holes with a little piece of plastic, and then I'll use putty in there. So I'm going to go ahead and get that all cleaned up, drill the holes, wet sand out the body, and then I'll paint it. So moving right along, I mounted the fenders. I mounted these really beautiful 7-spoke wheels, 7-hole wheels. They look great. And I mounted the fuel tanks. I had to drill and tap a hole for the back tank bracket, but those mounted up nicely. And then I've got this metal bumper with the lights in it. It's got 22 lights. I wired those all together. Notice that I changed the color now. The common is going to be red, or the positive is going to be red, and the common is going to be black. And I also added that to my list, bumpers red. So I'll go ahead and get the bumper mounted and run those up. And then all the wiring in the chassis is done. We've got 22 lights in the bumper, 8 underglow lights, 8 tail lights, 3 backup lights. We've got the servo for the coupler. So all that wiring's done, so I can pull that up through the floor and then mount the floor plate and start working on some of that. Also, on the body, I just started playing with it, and I drilled new holes for the exhaust, puttied these in, and mounted this strip here and drilled some pilot holes to have some rear work lights. So we'll keep working on that, and I'll go ahead and mount the bumper, pull those up, and we'll mount the floor plate. This is coming along nicely. Moving right along, RC 4-wheel drive makes this aluminum diamond plate, and you get 2 sheets in a package. It looks like this. It's real metal. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a strip of it here and a little piece here, and then I'm going to notch it to fit around the tanks and paint it, and then stick it down with double sticky tape. And this really adds a nice finished look to the top of the frame, especially on this really long open frame. So I'll go ahead and cut that, and I just draw on it with a Sharpie and cut it with a pair of wire snips. So here's the piece for the back, and I'll just cut it with these snips. This has a clear plastic film on it, so you can draw on it with a Sharpie to your heart's content, and it won't translate through on the finished product. And it's quite bendable, but it's still quite stiff, so when you put it between the frames, it holds itself up quite well. This piece will go right here, and then the other piece will go, when I cut it out, will go up here. So there's my little pieces all cut out. I put lines on them just so I would remember to peel off the plastic when I paint them, and they will just fit on like that. And those look pretty good, so I will go ahead and peel off the plastic. I'm going to paint them and match the rest of the truck, and then I'll stick them down with strips of double sticky tape. Well, in the ongoing search for the coolest truck, I'm going to put one of these Tamiya roof spoilers on it. Got it right here. I'm going to go ahead and paint the spoiler with the gunmetal gray and the brackets with semi-flat black. And then I'm going to strip the roof visor and paint it gunmetal gray to match all the other accents on the truck. So I'll work on these little parts. One of the things I wanted to do was to give a better looking grab rail than just the piece of wire that comes in the Tamiya kit. So I took some aluminum tubing and cut a tube the proper length, and then I just clipped the grab rails in half. We'll just stick them in there like that, and then they just bolt into place like normal. Gives a little better, I think, a little better look on this globe liner, and a little nicer, fatter handrail. So here I've got the cab pretty much finished up. I need to add the wipers and the horns, a couple details that I always add at the very end. This cab obviously has a lot of lighting in it. You can see all the lighting hookups in the SFR video that will be loaded about the same time. Got dome lights here, the dash is in with the dash lights, headlights in, roof lights, turn signals, and then these work lights that shine over the back. I've got the Grand Hauler exhaust stacks mounted, and then I built this Tamiya spoiler kit and painted it gunmetal. I also stripped the visor and painted it gunmetal and bolted it on. So that pretty much finishes up the cab ready to mount. The cab's going to have plug-ins for the wiring. So now I have to finish up the chassis wiring, and then I can go ahead and mount this and plug it in. And I'm planning to build a sleeper inside. So I'll see what that looks like and see if I have room to do it and get to work on that project. Okay, as I work along on the truck, I've got all my wiring done and my SFR-1 programmed. And again, that will be in an SFR-1 video of how I did all the wiring. But now I've got to mount it in my truck. So I'm going to mount it right about this area and the receiver here. And I'm going to build a sleeping bunk that covers it. And then the speaker is going to double sticky tape right up in the top like this in the little speaker box. So, and all the wiring's all tied up pretty good. These are just plug-ins that go to the SFR. So that should be pretty straightforward. The only really oddball thing is the sleeping bunk. I probably want to build a little console, and I've got some soda cans, and I got some cheeseburgers that I got from Hobby Lobby. I also have got some dogs. I found this little dog right here. He looks just like Winston, Cavalier King Charles. What can I say? Winston will be sitting up on the bunk looking out between the seats. And I'm going to see if I can get my wife to make me a pillow and some blankets to go in there. I think that'll finish off the cab. It's going to look pretty cool. Well, I hope it'll look cool. We'll see. So for mounting, I made this little aluminum bracket. And I'm going to just drill through and bolt it down. And then it will double sticky tape on the back side of this, leaving the heatsink available. And it's high enough that I can slide this back so it's over the top of the battery compartment, and that leaves me a lot of room up here to build my little bunk area and plenty of room to tuck wires away. So I'll bolt this down, mount the SFR, and we'll continue on. So what I'm doing here is I've got a piece of cardboard and just making a template for how I want to make the sleeper. So I'm going to make this out of wood and this out of wood. I'm actually going to go back a little further. I'll make some little side braces, and then this will sit in here like that. And then I'll build a little console out the front so I can set my cheeseburger on it. And this will be my sleeper bunk up here. Everything lines up good with the body, so I'm going to go ahead and cut these parts and build this. So I constructed my little sleeper here, and it is going to sit in here like this. I still have to tie up a few wires so I can get it down completely into place. And then I checked it against the seats, and that'll be good. The driver figure and the cheeseburger and the soda And the Mini Winston will be something like that. So that'll be the sleeper bunk up on top. I think that looks really pretty good. Hides all the electronics. I'll neaten up everything underneath, but that's going to make the interior of this truck really look good. I got to see if I can talk to my wife about making a sleeping bag and pillow. We'll see. So I've got my little sleeper deck finished. I made these little excuse me, aluminum brackets, and they will mount it down. What I'm going to do is drill out this screw hole, and I'll put a bolt that'll hold this bracket, go up all the way through with a nut on this side to hold it down, and that should give me a real strong, secure platform. When you look in through the front, you will not see any wiring at all. Nice clean insulation. So I'm going to go ahead and mount this down, then we'll decorate it. So I've got my sleeper mounted down. I've got a little soda can here with some double sticky tape on it. We'll get that mounted. Then I'm going to take some of this brown wrapping paper that I use for packing orders. We'll cut a little square so it can be the wrapper. A little smaller here, and then we'll use some micro crystal clear to glue the cheeseburger to the paper and glue the paper down to the console. About like that. There. Okay, now my little Cavalier King Charles needs to be decorated a little bit more to look like Winston, so we'll do that. Hi Winston, we have to decorate my little toy Winston to match you, so we need to get on the Queen's thumbprint, they call this little brown spot here, and then you've got a little bit bigger brown area here, so I'm going to get some brown paint. And we're going to paint this little guy to match you so you can ride in the truck. What do you think about that, huh? You just want to eat the little guy. Okay. All right, Winston. Okay, so there's my little Winston. And I've got some NATO brown here, which is a little bit lighter than this way he was painted. So we're going to do the NATO brown trim on him. We'll get the Queen's thumbprint here right on his forehead. Oh, yeah. That looks good. And we'll decorate the hind end with some more brown. So I'll get him painted up. I've got my little sleeper bunk there. Winston's all painted and glued down. My wife made a pillow and a blanket for me. I've got the cheeseburger on a piece of craft paper and the soda. I've got the driver figure just about painted. So once I get the driver figure done, we'll put him down with double sticky tape. And the body is all ready. Speaker and everything's mounted, so then I just have to put the body down. I'll get the spoiler mounted, get the body down, and we'll get some pictures of it. It'll be done. I'll run it around a little bit and we'll show off the lighting. Well, there we go. The finished globe liner stretch. Stretched it with a Grand Hauler frame, Grand Hauler rear bumpers. These are aluminum decks made out of RC four-wheel drive aluminum sheet. It's got aluminum wheels, special grab bars, spoiler, Grand Hauler stacks, aluminum front bumper with lights. We've got the Beier SFR-1 system that just has a ton of lighting effects. And if you want to see them all, watch the end of the Beier SFR-1 Part 2 video. Full interior with a cab with a little Winston in there and a cheeseburger and a Coke and a driver and lights in there. I'll try and zoom in and get a picture of that. It looks really good. Great effects. We've got the theme song from the movie Convoy. We've got flashing lights in the grill. I really wanted to do those. That turned out real cool. I've got the engine start with lighting effects. Beautiful low speed control. I mean, just creepy nice low speeds. Around here on the back, we've got our tail lights and marker lights. Up here, I've got work lights that are very bright. I have the ability to, there's underglow lights. I have the ability to turn pretty much every kind of light on and off however I want. Turn the interior lights off, headlights off, turn off the roof lights. Yeah, beautiful truck. This is painted with GM light metallic blue duplicolor paint. The stripes are Tamiya pure white and gunmetal, light gunmetal gray. I really don't know what else to say about it. You saw kind of how it went together. I had a lot of fun doing it, and it's also going to produce a couple of Beier SFR-1 videos that you can see. But yeah, I think she turned out pretty good. So as I shoot this video, I'm getting ready to head out of town. It's the beginning of October 2021 right now, and I'll be gone until November. So if you order something from me, it won't ship till I get back in November. But I'll have my email and my phone, and I can answer questions, and I'll answer comments on this video. So if you think of something, just let me know. I'll write you back, and there we go. I just want to say again, thank you so much for watching my videos. I have a lot of fun doing these. I never thought in my entire life I'd be doing something like this, but what can I say? And it's pretty fun. I appreciate all you guys. I get tons of great comments. I really like it. Let's see if I can zoom in here on that interior a little bit. This will be shaky, but hey, you see the cheeseburger in there. Can you see Winston up on the bunk? Maybe. So anyway, give me a thumbs up. I really like those thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Here, why don't I come over there so he's looking?
Okay, it's going right now. Okay. Hi, Winston. Okay, well, Winston, we're gonna paint you like this little guy here, but we need to get a bigger brown spot on the side.
Start over. Because you're not gonna paint him
Okay.
to look like
All
the
right.
figure.
Winston, come here, come here, come here. Sit. Good boy.